Hello and welcome to Untapped, the extra mile with me, Spencer Matthews.
And me, Oli Patrick.
Hi, it'll never get old. I love it. I love these. It's great. We recently had Lucy Charles Barkley on the show. She is an athlete of biblical proportions. She's the female world champion Ironman distance triathlete. She trains like something you can barely imagine, right? It's an incredibly full-on training schedule
impressive.
that she loves. She is incredibly data-driven. She loves her data. She loves her wearables. Sleep-obsessed, as most of the extraordinary athletes that we host in here are. Which brings us on to the topic of sleep. I think it'd be interesting to really dive into sleep and recovery. But what really happens when you sleep? What is actually happening to your body? Yeah. Nowadays, I don't know anyone who's not really sleep obsessed. And I actually think, I'm going to throw it out there, right? Like, being good at sleep is cool.
Oh,
like, I don't even care if you're listening to this and you think it's lame. Like, you're lame, all right? Sleep is cool, okay? I can't wait to show you my sleep scores.
I've got a sense of them. I think you might have shown me at some point.
Have I already shown you?
They're belters, not today, but I love it. I mean, your point there again is sleep's become trendy. And that's partly because we understand it a bit more. It's always been a pretty critical thing in the fact that if you have average life expectancy with, I think, average sleep duration, you're sleeping for 26 years of your life.
26 years?
26 years.
Imagine everything we could do with 26 years.
Well, that's the thing. And that's where your average CEO about 10 years ago was like, sleeping's for the weak.
Right.
So, sleep when you're dead. And interestingly, there was a real sort of cannibalization of sleep that became popular. It was trendier to go, I'm in the 4 a.m. club or the 3 a.m. You had Mark Wahlberg and the gang getting up at 2 a.m. to do weights and burgers.
Yeah, you've caught me in a bit of a... I like Mark Wahlberg, right? I'm a fan of his acting. I like him as a person. Great watch collection, or that cool guy, right? I like him.
Yeah.
That schedule that he put out is bollocks.
It's counterintuitive.
Well, no, I'm saying it probably isn't real.
Well,
I think it by the look. How is he golfing at 4 a.m? Like, what is he doing? Right? I think the whole thing is like, why? There's a bigger, people ask me why about a lot of stuff. Well, why are you getting up at that time?
Yeah.
Everything's dark. Nobody's around. No. I'm sure that's great. If you were to say, I wake up at 3 a.m. to have breakfast and, lower my cortisol and get in the zone and do a bit of red light therapy and read a book and lift some weights, that's one thing.
Yeah.
He's leaving his gaff and going to the driving range and stuff.
I know.
Are they open?
I can't speak for the LA opening hours of driving ranges, but I can tell you it's odd, right? It's odd. And I'll tell you why it's odd. The reason we sleep is it's not rest. It's like a whole range of complicated biological processes that can't take place when we're awake, right? So the idea of sleep being just that time to recharge the batteries has been broadly sort of squashed because we can now look at the brain, we can, look at brain imaging, we can look at neurotransmitter balance and all these things we couldn't do 50 years ago. And we thought, well, sleep is basically how I avoid being knackered.
If you love sleeping, if you love staying in bed, then, all of this sleep is excellent. It's good news, right? Whereas before it was kind of like, if you wake up late, you're a loser. You should be working, right? That was kind of what I grew up with.
I couldn't agree.
Early bird catches the worm. All this stuff, which probably is true. I'm sure the early bird does catch the worm. That's great. So tell me about these complicated things that happen when you sleep.
It's vital. Well, so one of the clearest things we know is if you don't sleep, your brain suffers maybe more than anything else. So Alzheimer's, dementia. Because
really?
one of the, massive, as in probably low sleep being the sort of, right up there with excessive weight or low cardiovascular fitness. So every hour less than 6 hours, there's a sort of sharp increase in risk of suffering from, unfortunately, the probably most scary disease of all. And that's because your brain clears the debris and junk during sleep. There's a whole biological system called the glymphatic system. So it's basically all the debris that accrues in your brain during the day when it's active and solving problems. It all sort of gets rid of that debris. It's like a clearance system.
So what debris accrues? Is it accrues? Is that what you said?
Yeah, accrues. And actually the most interesting
What are you laughing at, Simon?
No, that was just a funny way of asking what accrues meant.
Well, no, I know what it means, actually. I wasn't sure about it, that's all.
I didn't think you could see me laughing at the way you said that, but it was just quite funny.
I know what accrues mean, actually.
Okay.
Thank you. you refer to debris sounds very full on. I think debris, I think war zone, I think all kinds of stuff, right? So your brain produces what during the day that needs clearing?
Most notably, something called adenosine. It's the buildup of the byproduct of energy expenditure. So as you and I expend energy through the course of the day, we actually use ATP, which you might have heard of, which is adenosine triphosphate. So this is the molecule of energy. And interestingly, humans, we've got enough stored energy for 2 seconds of activity. And then everything that creates energy is how we glue the energy that provided those 2 seconds back together. So energy is like a little Christmas cracker, and you snap it in every cell of your body. And then all the way in which we use oxygen, glycogen, all these things is gluing the sort of end of the cracker back on and cracking it again.
How often does it crack?
Oh, I mean, like billions of times a second. But you've got enough stores for 2 seconds of energy before you need to glue the ATP back together. So it snaps. It's part of our bodies having this natural circadian rhythm. Circadian meaning about a day in Latin. So people think it'll be something far more impressive than that. It is not. So Latin, everyone thinks Latin will be, drive yourself to a better future. It means about a day, circadian.
About a day.
And we've got an about a day clock in every cell of the body governed by a central part of the brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN. And that's watching light and dark and running a 24-hour clock. I'll get into that in a minute. But principally, when your body builds the byproduct of being awake for like 16 hours, this adenosine fills up in your brain. It detects there's a volume of adenosine. That drives what's called sleep pressure, i.e. I feel a bit sleepy. And then as I sleep, I drain that adenosine levels back down. And I wake up in the morning, theoretically ready to cook again.
How are you able to sleep with all of this in your head?
Yeah, I mean, weirdly.
No, I mean you.
Me?
Yeah, like when you know all of this.
Yeah.
Do you not think about it sometimes? So when you're in bed, for example, and like you're about to go to sleep, but I'm like, oof, like I feel like I have a lot going on. So I can't sometimes switch off and just go to bed. Yes. And I just think, I'm busy.
Yeah.
You're going like, I've got extraordinary levels of, adenosine. How do I get rid of the adenosine? And like, I'm assuming that just creates this like strange knock-on effect of like, scientific protocol that would drive me mad.
I think it does a lot of people. I think I'm a simpler beast than many in terms of I don't over ruminate on almost anything. I'll tell you where it is a problem. When you're exercising, you're like, oh God, I've just moved into anaerobic combustion. I don't know if I can clear the hydrogen ions and I can slowly feel my glycogen stores depleting. And the bloke next to you runs past you in flip-flops. He's like, I can't wait to eat my KFC tonight. And you're like, I'd love to be free.
He's not worrying about it.
He's free from the shackles of the knowledge of things that might be happening. That aside, the mind drives the body and the body also drives the mind. And from a sleep point of view, just come back to the things it does. So there would be, 8, 9, 10 biological processes like the glymphatic system clearing out, some of the waste products of the day, like growth. You're not going to grow today, you'll grow tonight. You're not going to, if you go to the gym and, you've done some weights this morning, that will turn into gains tonight. Your immune system is going to regulate itself tonight when you are, unconscious. Your memory, if you remember it in a week, it's because you consolidate it tonight during your sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. If you're training hard but still not seeing the results you want, real progress happens when you recover. And for me, recovery starts with sleep. Between my workouts, running a business, and keeping up with the kids, I used to wake up feeling completely wiped out. But since I started using 8 Sleep, everything has changed. I've gained around an extra hour of deep sleep every night, and it's made a massive difference. My recovery feels faster, my energy is more consistent throughout the day, and mornings with the kids feel actually manageable. Even in the gym, I'm seeing the payoff. Last week, I hit a new personal best, and I genuinely believe that extra deep sleep is what is allowing my body to perform at this level. Their new Pod 5 smart mattress cover keeps you at the perfect temperature all night, and if you share a bed, you can have different settings for each side. It even learns how you sleep, adjusting temperature, elevation, and wake-up time automatically. Up to an extra hour of quality sleep every night, and a 34% boost in energy the next day. It's like an extra shot of espresso without the espresso. Head to 8sleep.com/untapped and use code UNTAPPED for up to £350 off the Pod 5 Ultra.
Sleep is a really active process because my body is effectively under a sort of enforced state of paralysis, which is critical, right? So I don't act out my dreams. And because I'm unconscious, we assume it's a dormant process. What we now know is it's a very active process, and it's a whole load of things that just won't get done if I don't give it the space to get them done.
And what is the space? So what is the ideal level of sleep required? I'm sure it probably is varied and different for different people, but like, what should our listeners be aiming for every single night sleep-wise?
Seven.
7 hours.
And the range is 7 to 9. That's sort of the World Health Organization. And the principle there, so someone averaged out 8, which gave a lot of people sleep guilt. Thought, I'll never get 8, but it's actually 7 to 9. Most people don't sleep because they don't give it enough time. They don't give it the 7 hours that it needs. And in fact, average sleep in the UK, I think, is like 6:28 or something like that, which means most people, are sleeping less than they need.
Are you saying that they don't prioritize it enough and therefore just don't do it?
If you take an elite athlete, you've met and spoken to so many, and you yourself are training in an elite way, whether you like it or not, you are. And the reality is, there is no one in that space who doesn't prioritize sleep, who doesn't see it as absolutely equal, if not greater, to nutritional choices and movement choices, because they've understood all of the effort I put in the day will only manifest if I get it right tonight. So if you did a brilliant weight training session today and you decided to stay up late for no reason, doom scrolling, and you again had a glass of alcohol, which you wouldn't, but again, these things all take place, and you cannibalize tonight's sleep, the gains from that session are broadly gone.
God, it's so interesting to hear it that way, and I think that's such a good takeaway for the listener, because I think ordinarily people will see the gains and the progress taking place in the gym, right? So they'll think, I've done my weights today, I've done my run.
Exactly.
I'm going to, enjoy a bottle of wine with my wife tonight, and we might stay up and, watch Sky and whatever else. To people who sleep badly, what could they be doing better to sleep better?
Okay, well, we're going to fall asleep for 2 reasons tonight. The first one is, if I'm awake for 16 hours, that adenosine will build up in my brain, and that will create a sense of my body's going to try and shut me down so it can drain the adenosine levels out. We call that sleep pressure. But I'll also fall asleep for a different mechanism, that I've got this 24-hour circadian rhythm, which is basically my connection with light and dark, driven by 2 hormones, cortisol and melatonin. So what time did you wake up this morning?
6:30.
Beautiful. So if your body knows that it generally wakes up at 6:30, 2.5, 3 hours before that, your body will go, well, Spencer's going to wake up in 2.5, 3 hours. I'll start producing cortisol, because cortisol is going to help wake him up.
Stress hormone.
Yeah, good for you. So,
good for you.
Yeah, the worst rebrand ever. Imagine being so good for humanity and someone calls you the stress hormone.
Cortisol and dopamine sort of go hand in hand, don't they? Do they not? Like, where there's dopamine, there is cortisol, or is that not necessarily true? I know that if you're drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes and doing things that would be considered bad,
yes,
there will be cortisol.
Yes.
If you're doing ice bathing, there won't be cortisol. I think that's the whole point, isn't it, of putting your body through a big dopamine release without the kind of stress hormone attaching to it when ice bathing. Is that correct?
Partly correct. They're not they're often found in the same scenarios. So scenarios that induce excessive physiological stress would also potentially induce dopamine as part of that pleasure. Cortisol, we hypothesize that about a lot. Its main job is to regulate your biological rhythm. You woke up at 6:30 this morning partly because from 4 a.m. your body was making more cortisol. Then you woke up. Then hopefully you saw some natural sunlight and cortisol continued to rise.
I think everybody is aware of the certain brackets of sleep, right? So we all have, people who wear wearables are aware of deep sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, yes, REM sleep, deep sleep, awake time, light sleep. What are the different, firstly, kind of chapters, if you will, of sleep?
Yeah.
When do they usually occur?
Yeah.
How much of each do you need? And what are the benefits of each?
Yeah. So the generally 2 types of sleep. So as soon as I fall asleep, I've got non-REM and REM. So every non-REM will be classed by how slow my brainwaves become. And the slower my brainwaves, it's classified as stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, or stage 4. And the stage 3s and 4s, and they're sort of debated, are slow wave sleep, which are colloquially called deep sleep. So deep sleep and slow wave sleep is
That's
non-REM.
Like the place is burning down, you've got no idea type thing.
Yeah, which is super important. You say that you're disconnected from the world in deep sleep. So we've got non-REM sleep, of which can transition between stage 1, where I'm lying asleep, and you next to me whisper in my ear, "Oli, are you awake?" And I go, "Yes." But I wasn't actually, Spencer. What I could say is, no, I was actually in non-REM stage 1. Thanks for ruining it for me.
All I can think about is being in bed with you.
I planted the seed.
Yeah.
Let's see whether the harvest is reaped.
Yeah. You say, "Oli, are you awake?" "Yes, I am." "Oh, I didn't actually realize you were here, Oli, but yeah, okay, good. I'm glad.
I snuck in.
Yeah.
So non-REM stage 1, 2 are light sleep, And then as the brain slows itself down, you go into stage 3 and 4, deep sleep. And that is really the process where all the biological repair takes place.
That's where the toolkit comes out.
That's where the memory consolidation comes out. It's where the immune regulation comes out. It's where your body has got highest levels of melatonin, theoretically, which is the hormone that helps transition you into sleep. And it's where growth hormone gets produced. It's the good stuff. And fundamentally, we never stay in one stage. We go through these sleep cycles, which can be sort of, 90 to 120 minutes long. It sort of varies. And we'll get a bit of all of them in. So we'll get a bit of light sleep, we'll get a bit of deep, we'll get a bit of REM, and then we'll wake up briefly to sort of change posture and position, and we'll go back through another. But what we historically see is we see more, deep sleep in the early stages of sleep, and then increasing volumes of REM sleep, rapid eye movement, in the later stage. And REM sleep is different in the fact that I will see rapid eye movements. If you look at my eyelids, they're all darting around the place, as my brain is extremely active, and effectively it's doing an awful lot of emotional processing. So in REM sleep, I'm going, had a lovely day with Spencer today, we joked about sleeping together, but I'm not sure if I really want to pursue that. And so I'll be consolidating.
Why not?
Just playing out the dream. So I'll be dreaming, and I'll be playing in what I emotionally accept and what I don't. And really, one of the theories with REM sleep is we are doing sort of mini versions of trauma therapy, because I detach the replayed behavior from the emotion I felt while it took place. So I slowly feel less uncomfortable about talking to you about sleeping together. And so, if something really terrible happens, we see a big compromise in people's REM sleep associated with post-traumatic stress disorder, for example. I think that the general principle is I need 7 hours. And if I get 7 hours of quality sleep, we don't know exactly what volume of deep or REM you and I both need, because the ability to measure it was never in the big studies. So all of the studies that look at sleep and risk of heart attacks or sleep and risk of Alzheimer's were sleep volume, because it's only a recent phenomenon that we could mimic what we call polysomnography, which is the cap you wore when you slept in the special sleep clinic, through heart rate variability, respiratory rate and resting heart rate and other things that are plugged into our wearables. So we're guessing a bit, but the general theme is somewhere like 20-25% of our 7 hours would want to be in both of these stages. So let's think 90 minutes deep, 90 minutes REM, and the rest would be sort of transition stages between the two. But the single biggest marker is not what my watch says, it's whether I feel refreshed upon waking, capable to absorb, enigmatically a version of myself, and I fall asleep nice and clean the following night. So we're just going to be careful the numbers don't dictate the feeling, that the feeling aligns with the numbers and allows me to calibrate behavior against outcome.
Imagine knowing exactly when your body's ready to push and when it's time to rest. That's what Whoop does for me. It's like having a coach on your wrist that helps me understand how the decisions I'm making are impacting my health and my performance. During my Project 7 training, Whoop helped me make smarter decisions, when to push, when to dial things back. But Whoop isn't just for big goals. Building better habits each and every day changes how you show up at work, with your kids, and even with yourself. Something I've really paid more attention to lately is my sleep. I used to think that I was one of those exceptions who could get 5-6 hours of sleep and be fine. Whoop showed me just how much better I can be when I prioritize my sleep, not just looking at duration, but also at sleep quality, sleep consistency as well, which I never would have considered before. If you want to unlock the best version of yourself, click the link in the description for 1 month free and start adding more life to your years today. For people who are looking to pay more attention to their sleep and understand it a bit more and take it more seriously even perhaps,
Yeah.
What good tech exists out there? We both Whoop, obviously.
We do.
I love my Whoop.
I love my Whoop.
I love Whoop.
I genuinely love my Whoop.
I love my Whoop. Yeah, no, I do like my Whoop. I do like my Whoop. What other wearable tech is there out there if you're not a Whooper? What are you aware of? Other brands, and we can talk about Whoop as well, but other brands that will do a good job of helping you kind of monitor and regulate your sleep?
I think monitoring is different to regulating. So the great challenge with wearables is if you have a massive sleep disorder and you're extremely anxious about your sleep and you bang on a monitor that confirms you're sleeping 4 hours and none of it's deep and none of it's REM, then that psychologically and behaviorally doesn't really work for you. So we're just got to be careful that we don't measure sleep before we fix the reason someone wouldn't be sleeping well. And if you're only giving yourself 5 hours to sleep, what do you expect to see on the measurement? Like, what are you showing your mates the next day? Hey guys, in my 5 hours, I got 12 minutes of deep sleep. You're not at the cool kids party anymore because sleeping is trendy. But B, what do you expect to see? So measuring sleep, I'm a big believer in when you're trying to work out when's the last time I could have an alcoholic drink, and did I sleep sufficiently well to take on a heavy training load today? Or what's my hard stop on caffeine? Is it 2:00 for me or is it 12 p.m. for me? So I can hyper-personalize my behaviors that traditionally either support or reduce sleep to work out what dosage works for Oli Patrick versus Spencer Matthews. We will have different relationships with caffeine, alcohol, light, temperature, training load. So a wearable device helps you work out the causative effect of behaviors on your sleep and its quality of sleep. So I think there's validity to that.
Yeah. We're going to do a whole separate episode on alcohol and the effects on the brain.
Yeah.
And, I know that alcohol is detrimental to sleep. I'm not here to bang the anti-alcohol drum. I understand that most of us enjoy a drink every so often. I certainly do.
Me too.
But my relationship with alcohol, thankfully, is much better than it ever has been, which is great. But can alcohol play any positive role in sleep?
None. Well, it depends. If you aren't monitoring sleep cycling, you will notice alcohol helps you fall asleep faster. But alcohol sort of fairly unequivocally fragments sleep, which will actually reduce its total duration and historically cannibalizes REM sleep, which is, again, that emotional processing. It also, many people, depreciates deep sleep as well. So it is the antithesis of good sleep. And that's really tough. And actually, I think when I first got into, the world of health assessments and screening, everyone was worried about liver toxicity and liver damage from alcohol. And then the rise of the wearable basically moved it from a liver and a calorie and even a brain health issue to a sleep issue, where it sort of firmly remains. So it's not a good news story from sleep at any volume, sadly. And for every rule, there's an outlier who'll be screaming at the podcast. I get more deep sleep and more REM sleep when I have 2 glasses of alcohol. That's an anomaly. For the majority, it's a huge problem. From a tech point of view, again, we're seeing the rise of the interesting. We've spoken before about intelligent mattress toppers and this ability to use thermal regulation. So for good quality sleep for you and I tonight, we need to drop our core temperature, so the temperature inside of us, by about 1 degree. So that's why if I eat late, that generates heat. If I train late, it generates heat. Some of those things inhibit sleep onset.
Could late saunas be a problem?
Let's imagine a hot bath or hot shower. If you then cool after that, your body can cool itself to a lower degree. So a sauna could be a really good part of a sleep routine, but it couldn't be too close. And that's where the wearable, right? Let's say you do a sauna 90 minutes before bed. You track your onset of sleep, how quickly you fall asleep, sleep latency, and then how much deep sleep you get. And then the next night you do it 2 hours before. You check it, then 1 hour before, and you go, actually, I need it 1 hour 45 before bed. That's the Spencer Matthews prescription.
Whoop doesn't do latency.
It won't, but you'll be able to identify how quickly you fall asleep. Now, other devices, so mattress toppers. Now, what's interesting is they've taken that cooling out of your hands. So we now have a new wave like 8 Sleep, where 8 Sleep are effectively going to say, Spencer, I know for you to go to deep sleep, I'm going to cool you down. So your mattress will become cold. It will chill you down until you fall into the right stage of sleep. And then it will move the temperature to move you between deep sleep, which is colder, and REM sleep, which is warmer. And it does it automatically. So the mattress topper itself, the intelligence into the sheet, is measuring you and changing temperature automatically. And they're showing that they get something like 14, 15 minutes more deep sleep for the same hours in bed.
Okay, so I'm going to quick fire you with some kind of techie and supplemental tips that I know people use to get a better quality of sleep or fall asleep faster. I want you to tell me what you think of them and whether or not they are yay or nay.
Excellent.
Magnesium.
I think a lot of people get a huge benefit. Magnesium, glycinate or biglycinate, proven to potentially induce sleep. It mimics a neurotransmitter GABA, which can help calm the brain down, produces muscle relaxation, and for some people it's been the key to getting better sleep. But if you've already got high magnesium, adding it isn't going to solve it. So most of us don't eat enough or consume enough magnesium. So I'm actually a big fan of a magnesium supplement, and try it and see whether it works.
Melatonin.
Melatonin, interestingly, people think of it as a sleep aid. It's not legally available here as a supplement. It normally needs to be prescribed. It's the hormone we produce in anticipation of sleep. And we would think of it as a circadian rhythm modulator. So I would say yay if you are traveling east on a long haul flight and you need to bring your sleep cycle forward.
Tokyo.
Tokyo. Could be a dream. And so again, using
melatonin.
Yeah, and an app like Time Shifter, which is something that would help you work out when you should eat and align your sleep and eating to a local destination time. Melatonin could play a key part of that. But I prefer people to produce more natural melatonin by going to bed in pitch black and cool with a good day's physical activity rather than taking it exogenously, as we would say.
Blue light shutters.
Blue light shutters. Well, blue light blocking everything. So you got blue light screen blockers, blue light glasses. Maybe.
Are they called blue light blockers?
Blue light blockers.
Not shutters.
It depends if they are physically shutters or not. But blue light blockers.
Things that block blue light.
Of which eyelids seem to be one of the main things. Maybe. One of the great debate, right, is someone showed blue light does suppress melatonin production, which we've seen is important to regulate sleep, and therefore it's if you block that light, you get a benefit. The question is, if I went from blue light blocking glasses, but I'm still watching a horror film in bed on my laptop, then it's a hard no. If blue light is part of me reducing all digital stimulus and getting into a proper wind down routine, then it's a probably yes.
What about these light boxes that I'm hearing about? These boxes that mimic kind of natural light waking you up.
Yeah, if you are in Scotland, I think recently Aberdeen had 18 days without any sun whatsoever. And people get seasonal affective disorder, which is a clinical condition where you're getting so little sunlight, you're not producing enough cortisol and your rhythms are out. And then there's a version of that we all get, which is winter blues, which is not clinical, but I just feel a bit during this period.
I love the winter.
I love the winter, but you are up and out, and a lot of people are in and not. And I think light boxes basically mimic that we need about 10,000 lux of natural light in the morning to cascade this sort of biological benefit of waking up. And most people aren't getting that, yet your working day starts the same time. You're expected to be a high rev version of yourself. I think they're actually really good in clinical use for individuals managing seasonal, lack of mood. But actually, increasingly there's a device called AO Wearable. They're glasses that pipe the light into your eyeball while you're moving around and doing stuff. And I find that most individuals using those sense a better appreciation of daytime energy than those who start in the dark and finish in the dark, which is not something we're designed to do.
And other things, little things without tech that people can be doing to get a better night's sleep. I mean, I know that having a huge meal just before bed is not great.
No.
Obviously, caffeine late in the day isn't ideal.
Yep.
Alcohol and late nights obviously are not beneficial to a good night's sleep. Anything else that we should be avoiding in order to give ourselves the best chance of a good night's sleep?
Big ones, just sleep consistency. So similar wake time, similar sleep time within an hour on both. Morning being more important, but that flexibility on evening. If I'm not tired at all, don't go to bed and lie in there stewing. But sleep consistency. Build enough pressure by being physically active in the day. It's exposure to light in the morning, darkness in the evening. It's caffeine, again, none after lunch, alcohol only in social situations. And in that evening, we spoke a little bit about busy mind. You need to find a way of going to bed believing that you're safe from the world. And deep sleep, you mentioned, is when you're out, you're lost, the house could be burning down. Most people won't go to deep sleep because they think the house is going to burn down.
Is it true you can't smell or sense anything when you're in deep sleep?
Yeah, basically just says that while you technically can still smell something during deep sleep, you're much less likely to consciously detect or react to smells.
Yeah, that's a good question. Perception rather than you haven't shut down your nasal, you've shut down the brain that detects the nasal. So, yeah.
Grand. Thanks for listening, everyone. That was another episode of Untapped the Extra Mile with my dear friend, Oli Patrick, and Spencer Matthews. Lots of love. See you later.